Alright, what's up guys? NinjaDeathStrike here, bringing you the inaugural episode of Civilization V Gods and Kings Collective Rule Edition. I will explain real quickly before we get started what's going to happen. I know some of you saw, but some of you probably missed the update video, but this is going to be a Let's Play series, but it's going to be a little bit different in the fact that it is interactive. What's going to happen is I'm going to start a game of Civ 5, and every time I reach a major decision point, I will stop the game there and end the episode, and then you guys, as a collective, will get to decide in the comments what we do next. You will be the Senate, if you will. So you have the power to decide what happens. I just follow what you guys say. I'll make the little decisions, obviously, but I will do whatever you tell me. So if you make terrible decisions, our civilization will crash and burn, but it should be a lot of fun to watch. So in this episode, I'm going to explain the rules and then give you guys the options for what Civ we want to play. So the rules are pretty simple. The only thing you have to do to participate is leave a comment in the video, and I will go through them and tally up the votes between episodes to find out what you guys want me to do. Now, in order to make your vote official, you do need to type out vote in all caps and then tell me what you want to do. So if you want to make a suggestion or discuss with other people what the best options are, you can do that in the comments and then decide. But once you do finalize your vote, type out vote in all caps and then tell me what you want to do. So that way I'll know to count that as a final vote. You know, that's your final decision. Once you put that, you can't change it unless you delete your comment. But that way I'll know that's your final decision and you're not just talking things through. So anyhow, let's get into the game. We'll go ahead and set it up. So I'll go through the civilizations here in a second, but we're going to play Continents Plus. We could do Pangea as well, but that does take away some options for some of the civs. So we'll leave it in Continents Plus. It is a little bit easier than Pangea in that if you establish dominance over your continent, you kind of win, because the AI is pretty dumb at naval invasions, but anyhow, that'll be alright. Map size standard, difficulty, I'll leave it on Prince for now. That's easy enough that I think we should be able to do well, even if we just make some dumb choices. You know, I don't want us to get crushed. I'm not going to play on a super hard mode. I don't normally play on that hard anyhow, but I think Prince will be good for the first run, and we'll see how that goes. And then we can up the difficulty if we want to more later. Standard, 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 temperature standard. Rainfall normal. I will put it on abundant resources just because I like having lots of resources, and it affects the computers too, so that's fair, but I normally play with abundant. Victory types, we're not going to include time, but we will leave the other four. Science victory, the way you win this is you build a spaceship and launch it to another planet. Domination is by being the last civilization left with your capital intact, so you have to take over everyone else's capitals or have someone else do it. Cultural, you have to adopt enough social policies, which are things, boosts you get throughout the game based on how cultural your civilization is. Once you get 5 whole trees of that filled out, you can build a utopia and win. And then diplomatic you get by winning the United Nations vote, which happens after someone builds the United Nations. I think every 10 turns there's a vote for the UN, I don't know, head person, and if you win the vote, then you win the game. So I will leave all 4 on. I will tell you up front, though, I'm best at playing science and cultural games. Domination normally takes a really long time, and I'm not the best at it. So just because we're not going for domination doesn't mean we can't go to war, but domination's tough, and I'm not very good at it. Again, it's your choice, so if that's what you want to do, we can do it. And diplomatic, I don't normally win either. So I would recommend science or cultural for our victory types, but again, it's up to you. Let's see, the advanced game options. Raging Barbarians just means there's going to be a ton of barbarians. That always makes things fun, right? And then New Random Seed just it re-rolls if the game gets reset. I guess we can probably get rid of this one for this game. Now let's talk about civs. I'm going to go through the list of all of the civs. I do have all the DLC, so there are a lot. And your first choice is going to be what civ we choose. So I'll go through, talk about them, and then you guys decide what you would like to see me play, and vote in the comments. In the case of a tie, I guess I will be the deciding vote, so try and not have everyone vote for one thing. I will let you vote for up to 3 civs, so that way hopefully we won't have too many ties. But I'll read through the civs and tell you what they're good at, and then you can choose what you want to do. So the first civ is Greece with Alexander. They are just a pretty strong overall civ. They're very good at manipulating the city-states, which city-states are minor players. They're little tiny civs that cannot win the game, but you can ally yourselves with them, and they give you lots of extra bonuses depending on what type they are. So if you choose Alexander, he has a very good relationship with them, and it helps him get bonuses in pretty much everything if he has the money to make them his allies. On top of that, both of their unique units, they have Companion Cavalry and Hoplites. These are very good early game units, so he's very good at early game aggression and then settling down to kind of take over from there. Next, we have the Songhai with Askia. He receives triple gold from barbarians and pillaging cities, so every time he destroys something, he gets triple the gold that you normally get. And then his special units are the Mandakalu Cavalry, which are horsemen with axes. I'm not actually sure what they do, I just know that they're really strong. And the Mud Pyramid Mosque, which is an upgrade to the I believe it's a temple or a shrine. I'm not sure. I don't use Askia very much, so I'm not totally sure what his unique units are. I do know that any unique building that you get early is normally very strong, so I imagine the Mud Pyramid Mosque is pretty powerful. I could actually look it up here if I go... I'd have to get to the Civipedia, and that's way too long for this, so... Anyhow, Askia's. Next, we have the Huns with Attila. His bonus is that he can raise cities at double the speed. If you take over an enemy city, you can choose to keep it or just destroy it. And if you destroy it, he destroys it at double the rate normal. And he also gets... he starts with animal husbandry and +1 production for every space that has a pasture, which would be sheep, horses... cows, things like that. Any type of farm animal gives them extra production, and production is what you use to build your buildings. He again has very early unique units. He has a horse archer, which replaces the horseman, and he attacks with a bow, obviously. And then he has battering ram, which is a very early siege unit that's really strong against cities. So he's all about just a really fast rush. He is actually pretty weak overall, I feel. He runs out of steam pretty quick. But again, if you really want to play the Huns, we can do that. Next up, Augustus Caesar of Rome. His ability, he gets plus 25% production towards any building that already exists in your capital. So the first city you found in this game is your capital, and then, you know, you found more as the game goes on. And every time you build a city in the capital, it makes it cheaper to build... Every time you build a building in the capital, it makes it cheaper to build that building in all of the rest of your cities. So Caesar is really good at a very expansive empire, obviously, because he gets all those bonuses to the secondary cities. He's really good at spreading out and having lots of smaller cities, but a ton of them, which can be a really powerful strategy in this game. His unique units, again, are pretty early game. He has a ballista, which is a great early siege unit, and then a legionary troop, which replaces the swordsman and is just better. So Caesar is overall a pretty strong choice. You can really go for almost any type of game with him except cultural. but he's a pretty strong choice in general. Next we have Germany with Bismarck. He has the bonus where if you defeat barbarians, they have a 50% chance to join you, and you pay less maintenance on your guys. So he's all about fielding a big army. On top of that, he has the Landsknecht. I'm not sure if that's how you say that. It's a kind of advanced pikeman. It's good against horses. And he also gets panzer tanks later. So he's all about domination victory, obviously. I don't normally use him. I think there's better choices, but he can be strong. Next up, we have the Celts with Boudica. She gets +1 faith per city if there's a forest beside it, and if you have 3 forests beside your city, you get 2 faith instead of 1. Faith is another resource in the game. You use it to found your religion, obviously, and having a strong religion can really, really help you out in the early game. It also allows you to expand a lot quicker because religion generally makes your people happier. And so she is almost always the first person to get a religion, which can be pretty powerful. Her two unique buildings, her 2 unique units are the Pictish Warrior, which replaces the Spearmen, I believe, and they actually get faith for every kill they make. So again, that accelerates getting the early religion, getting first. And the best part about getting the first religion is that you get choices for what bonuses you want to take, and after you choose a bonus, no one else can take that. So it's first come, first serve, which is why it really pays to get it first. And that's what she's designed to do. She also has the Salida Hall. This is a cultural building. I don't know the other benefits. It probably gives some happiness too. Unique buildings in general are just really good. So Boudica is another strong choice that can kind of go in any direction she really wants to. She's not locked into one play style. Next we have Russia with Catherine the Great. Strategic resources provide +1 production, and horse, iron, and uranium all give you double the amount they normally would. So there's 2 kind of resources, strategic and luxury. Strategic are things you need to build your units, like iron, horses, uranium, those kind of things. And then luxury just gives you extra happiness, so it makes your people more happy, and that just gives you a bunch of bonuses. So she gets extra production on every strategic resource, and she gets double a bunch of them. So again, she's very focused on military type stuff because she gets a lot of production towards making units. Her unique units are the Cossack, which is a type of horseman who does ridiculous amounts of damage to already wounded units, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what they do. And then she also has a Kripost, which is a type of stable that also gives you culture, I believe. So Catherine's all about the horses, which is cool. Not really my style. I think she's kind of a boring civ, but whatever. She's an option. Next up we have Persia with Darius I. Their ability, their golden ages last 50% longer. If you have a lot of happiness, eventually you go into a golden age, and it basically boosts your gold by a ton for a certain amount of turns. And also, while they're in a golden age, their units receive +1 movement and +10% combat strength. So, you know, he's just really good when he's in a golden age. And then his unique units are the Immortal, which replaces a Spearman. They heal faster than the regular Spearmen do. And he also gets Satrap's Court, which is a type of bank that also gives you happiness. So Darius is all about going into the Golden Age, and because of that, he generally makes a really good cultural victory choice. He gets a lot of happiness, and eventually you get it to the point where you just stay in a Golden Age forever. You don't come out of it, and that is really strong. He's one of my favorite civs. I just finished a game with him, but I will play him again if you guys want to see him. Next up, we have Carthage with Dido. All coastal cities get a free harbor, and units can cross mountains after the first great general is earned. So this seems kind of weak, but it's actually really, really good. All of your cities on a coast getting a free harbor is huge. Harbors make trade routes to your capital, and trade routes make you money. And the fact that you do not have to spend any money or turns building the harbor is amazing. On top of that, the harbor also gives you extra food from the water. So she's really good at just throwing a bunch of cities down the coast and getting free bonuses from them. The being able to move over mountains isn't actually that great, but it's kind of cool, I guess. I've never really found much use for it. On top of that, she has African forest elephant, which is a battle elephant. That's pretty badass. And Quinn Kareem. I think that's how you say that. It's a upgraded type of ship, early game ship that's kind of good. It's just stronger than normal, but her real asset lies in that free harbor. So she's a pretty good choice as well. Again, she's someone that can kind of go any way she wants and has options for what type of victory she wants to win. Next, we have England under Elizabeth. They get +2 movement for all of their naval units, and they get an extra spy. Spies you use to steal technology from your neighbors or to defend your own, so having an extra is nice. They do kind of come in handy. And then the extra movement for naval units is cool, I guess. It's not that great, honestly. But she does have one of the best units in the game, the Longbowmen. This is a replacement for one of the archers. I forget which one, probably Composite. But they have an extra range, so they can actually shoot 3 spaces away, which no other unit can do for a long, long time. And that makes them incredibly powerful on defense and really hard to invade England. She also gets a ship of the line, which I think is just a stronger ship. It's whatever. The Longbowman is pretty much the only reason you would take England. But again, they're kind of a civ that can do whatever they want. They're not locked into one playstyle. Next up, we have India with Gandhi. He has unhappiness from the number of cities is doubled, but unhappiness from the number of citizens is halved. So he is very much a cultural victory kind of guy. He focuses on having a small amount of really huge cities, and that's how he wins. He also gets a war elephant, and he gets the Mughal fort, which I'm not sure what it does. I'm sure it's a replacement for the castle, maybe? I'd never use Gandhi because he's not very good, I think. You know, it would have been much better if we didn't have this first part, but as it stands, if you want to go for a cultural victory, I think there are better options, and if you want to have an elephant, there are 2 other civs that get them, so again, we can do him if you want, but I don't think he's that great. Next up, we have Mongolia and Genghis Khan. I'm sure you guys can imagine he is completely war-focused. He gets plus 30% combat strength when fighting city-states, so if you're attacking those little civs, you get a huge bonus. And all of his mounted units have +1 movement, so all of his horse units get an extra movement, which is a pretty big deal. And then his 2 unique units. First one is the Kashik. It is a horse archer, and it's probably the best unique unit in the game, or one of them. It's just really, really strong. And he also gets Khans instead of great generals. They have an extra movement, and they're even better at making your troops stronger. So he's all about the kind of middle of the game, huge military push. I don't play him that often, again, just because I don't go for the complete military victory that often, but he is very strong militarily, and if he is anywhere near you, you better start building up your army. Next we have Sweden with Gustav Adolphus. You get 90 influence with a great person gift to a city-state, and when declaring friendship, Sweden and their friends get a plus 10% boost to great people generation. So they're all about getting great people. Great people give you a big boost. Like, there's certain different kinds. A great general helps your army. A great scientist helps your science. You know, a great artist helps your culture. and they can be really powerful. So he's all about getting them as fast as possible. Now, this giving a great person to a city-state, I don't do very often, but 90 influence is a lot. The other part, though, is really good, that when you declare friendship with another civ, you both get a 10% boost to your great person generation. And this really gives the other civs an incentive to make friendship with you, which means, in turn, they won't attack you, which is nice. His unique units I actually don't know a whole lot about at all. He's got a horse, and this looks like a musket man. I don't know what they do. I don't really use Sweden a whole lot, but it seems like he could be good with the whole great person thing. I've never really done a great person focused playthrough, so definitely a cultural kind of guy here. Next we have Ethiopia with Haile Selassie. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names. I don't actually know how to pronounce some of them, so you can correct me in the comments if you want. Anyhow, his bonus, combat bonus, plus 20% when fighting units from a civilization with more cities than Ethiopia. That's a pretty big bonus, 20%. Again, he's another character that's very focused on small, big cities. But I think he does it better than India, honestly. And he also gets Nihal Sarafi, which is a rifleman unit that gets an added bonus when they're close to your cities, I believe. So he's a very defensive civ. And then he also gets Stele, not sure how to say that, which I forget what this does, sorry. I used him once, but it was a long time ago. He seems really good. He's kind of a cultural or small empire guy, but he's really defensive. A lot of the other cultural guys really have a hard time standing up to the military civs, but he's all about, you know, kind of turtling down, defending what's yours, and keeping a hold of it while you do what you want. So a very unique civ that could be a lot of fun to try out. Next up, we have Denmark with Herald Bluetooth. Embarked units have +1 movement, so if you send your land guys onto boats over the water to transfer them, they get extra movement, and they can actually embark and still move the same turn, so that's kind of cool, I guess. And he also can pillage your opponent's land for free. Normally that costs an action, but his guys can do it just because they want to. He has 2 unique units, the Berserker, which is a swordsman replacement, and the ski infantry, who can actually move over mountains for free and get added movement in the tundra, I think. Overall, I feel like Denmark is a pretty weak civ. I've never really used them. I don't know. If you want to do... their bonuses aren't that good compared to some of the other guys. They are Vikings, so that's cool, but they kind of aren't that great. Next up, we have Arabia with Harun al-Rashid. Rashid, maybe. And he gets +1 gold from each trade route, and oil resource provides double quantity. So he is all about the gold. He gets double gold from trade routes, and he also gets extra oil, which you can use to make late game units or sell. He also gets a camel archer, which is another type of mounted archer. They're always good. And a bazaar, which I believe replaces the market and is better, though I couldn't tell you how off the top of my head. Any unit that gets gold is good. Gold is really good in this game. Having gold gives you lots of options, so he's always a solid choice. And again, another one of those characters that isn't locked in to a certain play style. He can kind of go however he wants. Although he wouldn't really do that well at culture because he needs a lot of cities to establish those trade routes, and cultural games punish you for having too many cities. So other than that, he can really go however he wants. Next we have the Iroquois with Hiawatha, and their bonus is that they can move through forest and jungles as if it were a road, so that means that they pay drastically reduced movement costs to go through the forest or jungles, and you can also use them to establish trade routes without building a road. So that's kind of cool, saves you some time building roads, and gets your trade routes. And then he has a Mohawk warrior who gets increased damage in the forests and the longhouse, which probably does something with the forest too. So Hiawatha is really hit or miss. If you start somewhere where it's all forest, congratulations. If you don't, you're kind of shit out of luck. I don't think he's that great just because he's so focused on forest. And eventually, you know, the forests get clogged up with other stuff and you have to expand out of the forest, and I just don't think he's that good. So next we have Spain with Isabella. They get a gold bonus for discovering natural wonders, and they also get culture happiness. The culture and happiness from their natural wonders is doubled. So again, this is another civ that I think is really too focused on one thing to the point where it kind of ruins them. They're all about getting these natural wonders, but there's normally only 4 or 5 on the whole map, and if you don't start right next to one, you're out of luck again because you're not going to get it into your borders. Their units, they have Tercio, which is a pikeman that probably does something special, and a conquistador, who I don't know what they do. Spain's kind of bad, so I don't normally use them. Next up, we have Polynesia with Kamehameha, and they can embark immediately. Normally you have to research a technology to let you send your guys out over the water, but they just start with that ability, so you can explore pretty early, and they also get plus 10 combat strength bonus if they're in 2 tiles of the Moe, which is one of their unique units. They also have the Maori warrior, who I think makes the units around them weaker, and then the Moe, which gives them culture and gold after that they discover flight. So they kind of, what their civ does is it spreads these things all around the map, and then it gives their guys increased damage, and it gives them extra gold and culture. They're an okay civ. I think they're kind of underpowered. Being able to embark right away isn't that big of a deal. And the problem with these Moe is that you have to put them on your land, and that means you can't put more helpful things there, like a mine or a trading post or something else. So overall, I don't think that Polynesia is very good. Next up, we have Austria under Maria Theresa, and they can spend gold to annex or puppet city-states that have been your ally. So if you make a city-state your ally, you can actually buy it and make it a part of your empire. It can give you a foothold anywhere. That can be pretty good. It can also remove that city-state from the game and take away that vote in the UN, or eliminate the other civs from being able to get the bonuses that city-state would provide. So that's pretty cool. They also have the Hussar, which is some kind of cavalry unit, and Coffee House, which I believe is a cultural building. I have never used Austria. I don't know how they play. I would imagine I'd be pretty bad at them, but being able to buy land is pretty cool. So I've heard they're good, but I just have never tried them out. And we're getting close to the end. I told you there's a lot of civs. This is going to be a long episode. Next up, we have the Aztecs with Montezuma. Their ability is very simple. They gain culture for the Empire every time they kill something. So they're very good when they are attacking. They get free culture for killing things. They have the Jaguar Warrior, who is first. You get him right off the bat, and I think he can move faster than other units. I'm not positive about that. And the Floating Gardens, which have to go next to a river, and they give you, I believe, some food or something in addition to the normal garden bonus. This is actually one of the weaker unique buildings. Generally, unique buildings are really strong, but this one's kind of situational. But yeah, Montezuma's pretty good if you just are always killing things. So obviously you need to be at war all of the time. Not really my style, but I'm sure he could be pretty good in the right hands. Next up, we have France with Napoleon. They get +2 culture per turn from cities before discovering steam power. So this is a really good early and middle game bonus. They just get free culture for every city they have, which is really good. It doesn't sound that great, but it's pretty strong. It helps you get through those cultural abilities really fast and get a lot of bonuses pretty quick. They have a Foreign Legion and a Musketeer. These guys both are in the same kind of evolutionary line, so I think the bonuses stack, which is pretty strong. Musketeers, I'm not sure what their bonus is, but I know the Foreign Legion gets an advantage when they are fighting on foreign soil, so they actually get an attack advantage when they're invading other people, which Napoleon likes to do. So France is a pretty strong civ that you can, again, one of those civs that can go anyway. Even though his bonus is cultural, he's not forced into that cultural role. He can really do whatever he wants. So that's cool. Next, we have Babylon with Nebuchadnezzar II. Their ability is that they receive a free Great Scientist when you discover writing, and you earn Great Scientist 50% faster. So they're all about the Great Scientists, which obviously makes them a very science-based civ. Their unique unit is the Bowman, who's just a stronger version of an archer, and they also get the Walls of Babylon, which are stronger versions of the walls. They might give you another bonus too, but pretty good. Good early units and a good ability. Babylon is a very, very strong civ. Obviously, science victory is kind of their thing, but they are just as capable of going for the military or even the diplomatic victory are all possible. And getting the Great Scientist can really push you ahead in the tech race, which can be huge. Next we have Japan under Oda Nobunaga, and their units fight at full strength even when they're damaged. So, you know, as your guys take damage, their strength weakens, but the Japanese units always fight at their full strength even if they're about to die, which makes them a pain in the butt to fight because they always hurt your guys. They get Samurai, which is just a really strong version of a knight, and they also get the Zero Fighters, which don't see that much use, honestly. Air warfare doesn't happen a whole lot in these games. It can, but the Samurai are really where it's at. So Japan, another very military-focused civ. But they are good on offense and defense, which is kind of helpful. Next we have the Maya with Pakal, and after they research theology, they get a free great person at the end of every Maya long count calendar. So every 394 years, you get a free great person until you've taken one of each, and then you don't get any more. That's an insanely strong ability. Free great person, and you get to choose what type. That's really good. They also have the Atlas, which is a replacement for the Bowman. It's actually weaker than the normal Bowman, but they're super cheap, and you can start building them right away. And on top of that, they have the Pyramid, which is insanely good. I believe it's a shrine that also gives you science, so you get religion and science together. And again, it's early game, so you get them early, and the bonus just goes from when you build it till the end of the game. So the Maya are an incredibly strong civ, I believe, and one of my favorites as well. They're also very good at doing the really big empire thing, because they can just spam those shrines and have a lot of science really fast. Next, we have the Inca with Pachacuti. Units ignore terrain cost when moving into any tile with hills. No maintenance cost for improvements on hills, and half cost elsewhere. So they're good at hills, kind of like how the Iroquois were good with forests. They're good with hills, which is arguably more helpful because hills aren't limited to a certain region of the map, and they also are kind of they give you a defensive bonus too, so it's nice to be able to move over them and get around them as you want. They have a Slinger as their unique unit. This is a version of the Archer who actually has a chance to retreat if they get attacked by a melee unit. So there's a 50% chance that it just forces your opponent to waste their attack trying to hit these guys, which can be pretty handy. And then their unique tile construction is a terrace farm, which is some kind of farm. I think you can build it on a hill without any water. I'm not sure how this works, but unique tile improvements generally aren't that strong. The Ink are okay. I don't think they're that interesting to play as, but whatever. Almost done, getting down to the end. Next we have Egypt with Ramses II. They get plus 20% production towards wonders. And then their unique unit is a war chariot. It's a horse archer that you can build without needing horses. And a burial tomb, which gives you culture and gold and a bunch of other stuff, but gives your opponent a ton of stuff if they capture your city. Ramses is interesting. He's all about spamming world wonders, especially the early ones, which can be really good if you survive. He doesn't have any military bonuses really, so he generally gets picked on by the military civs, but he can be pretty good if you use him right. So he's a choice, I guess. Next we have Siam with, oh boy, Ramakaheng? I don't know. Freaking Thai, man. I can't read it. But food, culture, and faith from friendly city-states is increased by 50%. So he's another city-state focused civ, and he's really good too. 50% increase on culture, food, and faith means that he's very good at a cultural victory. Since he gets a ton of food and culture, he gets really big cities really fast, which can be very strong. He also gets a war elephant, so he's got that going for him, and a Wat, which I believe replaces the temple and also gives you science. I'm not positive. I know it's good though. He's Siam overall really strong civ, so if you guys would like to go for a cultural victory, I would recommend him as one of your top choices. But I still think Darius is better. Either of them though are good. Next we have Korea with Sejong. Their ability, they get +2 science for all specialists, and specialists are people you can put in your cities. They kind of take up a lot of food, and they don't give you a whole lot of other bonuses, but they're really good at focusing on one thing. So in addition to that one thing, they also boost your science, and for all great person tile improvements, so every time you use a great person to build a special building, they get a tech boost. And each time a scientific building or wonder is built in the capital. So they're totally science focused, and they're really good at it. Before a couple of patches, they patched the way great scientists worked. Before that, they were probably one of the best civs in the game. They're still really strong. Their unique units are okay, I guess. The turtle ship is just a really strong early ship that looks like a turtle. And the Hwacha is a rocket launcher that you get in the Middle Ages. So that's kind of cool. It's really good at taking out dudes. It's a very defensive weapon. Korea is really strong. Any civ that gets lots of science is really strong, because science gives you the option to go science, military, or go for the UN win. So pretty good choice there. Next we have the Ottomans with Suleiman. All melee naval units have the prize ship promotion, allowing them to capture defeated ships. So every time one of his melee ships defeats another ship, you actually take that ship over and get it in your army. And they pay only 1/3 the usual cost for naval units, so they're all about having a big navy, which is whatever. It's not really necessary since the AI is so bad at navy stuff, but I guess it's kind of cool. Then they have the Skippy, I'm not sure how you say that, which is a horse unit. that does something, and the Janissaries, which I believe heal when they do damage, which makes them pretty strong. The Ottomans are kind of strong, but really strange. They're all about the big navy. They don't get any, like, special boosts outside of the military, so again, not really my style, but they can be good. Next we have Byzantium with Theodora. They get to choose an extra belief when they found a religion, so their religion is even stronger than others if you can get it fast enough. And that can be a pretty big deal, getting another bonus and taking it away from someone who might want it. They also have a Cataphract, which I don't know what it does, and a ship, just a stronger version of an early ship. So Byzantium, they're okay. The extra bonus on the religion can be pretty helpful, but they don't get any bonuses to getting religion quickly. So a lot of times, you know, other civs kind of beat them to it, and then they just get an extra pick of the leftovers, which isn't that great. Next up, we have America with George Washington. All land units have +1 sight, so they can see one space further, and you get a 50% discount when purchasing tiles. So if you want to buy land instead of just letting it accumulate naturally, it's cheaper, and your land guys get extra sight, so they can scout further. Their unique units are the B-17 Bomber, which I'm sure is good against cities, maybe, and the Minuteman, who can... I think he's got an extra movement. America's kind of weak, honestly. They don't get any bonuses that really give them an edge, which puts them pretty close to the bottom. Next, we have the Netherlands with William. They retain 50% of the happiness benefits from a luxury resource, even if you trade it away. So if you trade luxury resources with another civ, you can actually trade your last one and you still get half of the bonus even though you don't have it anymore. So that's kind of cool, I guess. Sea Beggar, I don't know what that does. And a Plotter, which is farm replacement, I think. The Netherlands aren't very good, in my opinion. So we can try and use them if you want, but ugh. And last, finally, 42 minutes later, China with Wu Zetian. China, the Great Generals, combat bonus is increased by 15%, and their spawn rate is increased by 50%. So they get a lot of Great Generals. On top of that, they have 2 amazing buildings, unique units. One is a building, one is a unit. The Chukunu is a crossbowman who gets to fire twice per turn, which is incredible. I don't think any other units get to attack twice per turn without getting majorly upgraded. So Chukanu's really, really strong. One of the best units in the game, again. And then the Papermaker replaces the library, and I believe it gives you gold in addition to science, so that's really strong. China is another civ that just has really solid bonuses that allow it to go any way it feels like. So there we go. That is going to do it. I will read them off to you one more time, and then remember to vote in the comments. You can choose up to 3, and whichever one gets the most votes total, that's the one we use. So we have Greece, Songhai, the Huns, Rome, Germany, the Celts, Russia, Persia, Carthage, England, India, Mongolia, Sweden, Ethiopia, Denmark, Arabia, the Iroquois, Spain, Polynesia, Austria, the Aztecs, France, Babylon, Japan, the Maya, the Inca, Egypt, Siam, Korea, the Ottomans, Byzantium, America, the Netherlands, China. Vote! And I will have the next episode up sometime. I don't know how often I'm going to post these, but I will get started as soon as we have a winner. So thanks for watching, guys. Give me a thumbs up and comment with your vote. I'll have more coming your way shortly. Later.